the space between thoughts. Close your eyes, not tightly, gently, like drawing the final curtain on a long and golden day. Let your breath fall soft, unhurried. Around you, the world sighs into stillness. No more sharp edges, no more tasks waiting. Just the hush, that tender hush, which only arrives when the body begins to drift and the mind folds inward. In this moment, you're standing at the very edge of waking. Behind you, the light. Ahead of you, something quieter. A velvet space between thoughts, where everything starts to soften. Here, time is no longer a ticking thing. It melts like snow on warm skin. In this space, the world no longer demands sense or structure. You are no longer tethered to the ticking of clocks or the bright insistence of sunlight. This is the beginning of something else, the invitation into color without shape, memory without voice. This is where dreams begin to whisper. You're not asleep yet, but something in you is listening differently. Not with ears, but with something older. Something that remembers what it felt like to be held in sunlight before you had a name for warmth. This is the space where dreams take their first breath. The world inside you begins to shimmer, not with pictures, not yet, but with a kind of expectancy. A hush before the color arrives. And then, very faintly behind your eyelids, a flicker. Not light, not image, just a soft knowing that something is waiting to bloom. We think of sleep as darkness, but there is so much light that lives beyond the eye. The kind that glows in memory, the kind that radiates from joy. You are not alone in this stillness. Every night, the universe paints behind your eyes, not with brushes, but with moments, emotions, echoes. And somehow, without even trying, you begin to see again. Not with your eyes, but with something else. Something even deeper. When vision leaves and memory wakes. It's strange, isn't it? You close your eyes, the world disappears. No more colors, no more shapes. And yet, somehow, the mind continues to see. It does not stop. Instead, it remembers. And sometimes it invents. A room you've never stood in. A face you've never touched. A sky that never was. Science tells us that the brain is never truly silent. Even in sleep, it pulses with tiny lights, electrical sparks weaving memory and imagination together like thread through cloth. When the eyes rest, the mind does not. It becomes a projector, casting images against the back wall of consciousness. No light enters from the outside, and still there it is, a parade of images, flowing like watercolor through thought. But why color? Why not just soundless shadows or black and white impressions? The answer may lie in how deeply color is sewn into the fabric of your memory. Think back, not to a date, but to a feeling. A moment when something mattered. A childhood kitchen, perhaps. A summer tree. The red of strawberries. The golden hum of late afternoon. Even now, you're not remembering shapes, you're remembering the warmth of a hue. Color is not just sight. It is emotion. Red isn't red. It's the feeling of heartbeats. Blue isn't blue. It's the pause between thoughts, the echo of distance. When the eyes close, the brain does not forget how it felt to see. In fact, it begins to translate emotion into pigment. Memory becomes a palette. And dreaming? Dreaming becomes the act of remembering how to see, not what was, but what could be. In dreams, you may see a bird with violet wings you've never seen in waking life, or a city glowing with gold that pulses like breath. These are not inventions. They are rearrangements, mosaics of everything you've ever loved, feared, touched. Color becomes the language your subconscious speaks when logic goes to sleep. The first color of a dream. So, if we ask gently, what is the first color of a dream? What would you say? Is it blue, the way ocean thoughts lap at the edge of sleep? Or is it green, soft like moss, wrapping around a half-remembered forest in your mind? Perhaps it is something warmer, a kind of peachy gold that mimics sunrise, not on the skin but in the soul. Or maybe it's violet, that color of twilight that always seems to arrive when silence finally settles in. There is no one answer, because the first color of a dream is not painted with rules. It is painted with longing, with memory, with the way your heart felt when it heard a song at just the right moment. In childhood, dreams are often bright, impossibly so. Yellows that feel like laughter, reds that flicker like mischief. But as we grow older, the tones change. We dream in subtler shades. Olive, dusk, rust, ash. They don't shout, they glow. Sometimes we dream in sepia, the tone of something almost forgotten, like an old photograph, a memory that wants to stay a little longer. Other times, color floods in, as if the mind cannot hold back the tide. What is your color? Tonight, it may be something new, something that doesn't even have a name, because in dreams, colors don't need names. They need only feeling. Close your eyes again, gently. Let that color, whatever it is, rise from the center of your chest like a lantern. Let it glow quietly. That is your first dream tonight, and it remembers you, even when you forget it by morning. Breathing into the canvas. Now you are drifting. The world of waking has loosened its hold. You are no longer thinking in straight lines. You are floating, not away but inward. And inside, there is a canvas waiting. Blank, but not empty. It does not need paint. It breathes with you, and with each breath, the canvas begins to stir. One breath, and a soft blue sweeps across the top, like dawn brushing against your forehead. Another breath, and a warm, mossy green unfurls along the edge, like the memory of grass beneath bare feet. The dream state is not a story you tell. It is a painting you feel. The brush is your breath. The paint is your memory. And the image is made of every moment that ever made you feel alive. This is the miracle of dreaming. Takes no effort, no rules, no structure, and yet it creates something vast. A whole universe behind your eyes, woven from color and quiet emotion. It doesn't matter if it makes sense. The moon may hang upside down. The rivers may run backwards. But the feeling is always true. Tonight, your dream may hold the glow of a long-lost place, or the shimmer of a face you haven't seen in years. It may carry the blue of forgiveness, the gold of courage, the gray of letting go. And even if you don't remember it when you wake, it leaves a trace, like pollen on your skin, like light behind your eyes. So now let the canvas fade. Let the colors soften. Let the breath slow. You have already begun. You are already dreaming. The colors have found you, and they remember. And tomorrow, when you wake and try to recall the dream, you may find only a flicker, a feeling, a tint. But know this, it was there. You lived in color, even while the world slept in black. Chapter 2, Where Light Goes to Rest. There is something ancient about light. Not just its speed, not just its science, but the way it touches us, quietly, persistently. It is the first thing you noticed when you were born, though you had no words for it. A brightness, a warmth, a kind of invitation. And even now, as you lie in the hush of night, eyes closed, you still feel it. Not directly, not with sight, but with memory. Light doesn't need to shout. It simply arrives. Through the cracks in a curtain, across the back of a leaf, in the shimmer of water held in cupped hands. It's made of particles, photons, so small, so fast, they barely stay still long enough to be named. And yet, they are the reason you see anything at all. They don't carry color themselves. But when they land, when they kiss the world, something inside your eyes wakes up and says, ah, blue, gold, crimson. Color begins here in this dance. Not with the light itself, but with the way your body translates it. The way your mind says, this warmth feels orange, or this coolness, it is violet. And so when the sun dips below the edge of the world and your room goes dim, the language of light doesn't end. It changes, turns inward. You no longer see light as it strikes the world. Instead, you begin to remember it, the way your childhood bedroom used to glow in winter, or how twilight once fell like lavender across your window. Photons disappear, but their poetry lingers. The colors do not fade with night. They wait inside you, not on a screen, not on a canvas, but in the folds of your mind, tucked beside memory and emotion. Even in complete darkness, you know what warmth looks like. You know what joy might resemble, because once, light whispered to you, and your soul listened. Inside the eye, the soul paints. The eye is small, a globe the size of a plum, and yet, within it, an entire universe stirs. The retina, curved like a horizon, is lined with cells that do nothing but wait for light to arrive. Two kinds, rods and cones, sitting in patient silence, waiting to turn energy into experience. The rods work in the dark. They don't care about color. They care about shape, motion, shadow. They are the quiet watchers of the night. But the cones, they are the artists. There are three kinds, and they live for light, each one tuned to a different range of colors. Red, green, blue, not just as pigments, but as notes in a visual symphony. When light touches these cones, a signal flies, faster than thought, to the brain. And in that flicker of connection, a rose becomes red, a flame becomes gold, a sky becomes blue. But what happens when there's no light at all? When your eyes are closed, the cones are quiet. They wait, but the photons never arrive. And still, somehow, you see. You remember the color of a dress, the hue of a friend's laughter, the golden hour before a storm. These are not hallucinations. They are recreations. And it is not your eye that paints them. It is your soul. Or rather, that part of your mind that blends memory with emotion. That says, this mattered, this shimmered. It remembers not just the scene, but the feeling. In dreams, your cones are sleeping, but your inner artist is wide awake. With no light, no rules, it paints anyway, using emotion as pigment, intuition as brush. That is why, even in the deepest dark, color finds you. You may not see it the way you do in daylight, but you feel it. You feel that green of safety, that silver of longing, that red of something still burning within. You don't need open eyes to see. You need only the echo of wonder, folding the rainbow inward. Somewhere, deep inside you, the rainbow folds, not like a scarf, but like a secret, something kept for safekeeping, something not forgotten, only held close. We often think of rainbows as outside things, arcs across the sky after rain. But they live inside you, too. Every color you've ever seen has left its fingerprint on your mind. The golden of a harvest field, the teal of ocean in shadow, the pink glow of skin just after laughter. These things do not vanish. They fold inward. They tuck themselves behind memory, beside scent and sound, waiting to return when the world grows quiet. The brain is not simply a machine. It is a lantern. It glows from the inside out. And when you close your eyes, it doesn't go dark. It begins to project. Even in dreams that make no sense, where clocks melt or you're flying above a sea of glass, there is color, sometimes muted, sometimes wild. And it comes not from the world, but from you. This is your inner rainbow. It is not bound by sunlight or droplets. It doesn't wait for storms to pass. It lives in the folds of thought. In sleep, the brain does something strange and beautiful. It doesn't just replay memory. It recomposes it. It takes the red from one place, the green from another, and the emotion from somewhere in between, and creates a new scene. A forest that never existed. A sky that pulses with soft purple fire. Eyes that belong to no one you know but feel familiar. You don't question it, because here, folded inside the hush of night, the rainbow belongs to you. It bends and breathes with your breath. And when you wake, it retreats again. Quiet, unseen, but still there, waiting to be unfolded when you next return to silence. Where light sleeps, color awakens. Now it is late. The world has gone quiet. Even the stars seem to whisper rather than shine. And here, in the soft weight of darkness, you feel something stirring. It is not light, not as the sun gives it. It is something gentler, a glow behind the eyes, a warmth that isn't heat. This is where light goes to rest, not to disappear but to change shape. It becomes less a thing you see, and more a feeling that guides you. And in its rest, color awakens, freed from rules, no longer tied to objects or names. In this space, red is not red, it is courage. Blue is not blue, it is distance remembered. Yellow is the ache of hope. Green, the breath of forgiveness. These colors do not behave. They drift. They hum. They blur into each other like dreams into dawn. And you are no longer the viewer. You are the canvas, your breath the brush, your heart the palette. And as sleep folds over you, gentle as linen, the world inside you glows. You don't need answers now. You don't need science to explain what your soul already understands. That color is not just what the world gives you. It is what you give back. In memory, in dreaming, in every soft surrender to the dark. So now let the colors drift. Let them carry you, somewhere far, somewhere warm, somewhere only you have ever been, where light sleeps, and the colors remember your name. Chapter 3. The Dream That Remembers Childhood. Close your eyes. Let the day fall away like a coat slipped from your shoulders. In the hush that follows, a memory stirs. Not clear, not recent, but soft and round and red. A balloon. Not just any balloon, but the balloon. The one from long ago. Perhaps you held it in your hand, or perhaps only in your heart. Floating just above your head, bobbing with the gentle tug of your small fingers. This color was unmistakable red, the way only childhood remembers red. Not the crimson of roses or the maroon of velvet, but that bright, bright red that exists only when you are 5, maybe 6, standing under a sky that still feels endless. A color that didn't need a name. A color that simply was. This balloon wasn't just made of rubber and air. It was filled with joy, with a kind of lightness that made you believe, just for a moment, that if you let go, it could carry all your troubles into the clouds. And in that image, in that memory, something deeper forms. An understanding that the mind never truly forgets the colors that once made you feel alive. Dreams remember, not with precision, but with feeling. That red balloon still floats somewhere in the folds of your sleep. Maybe it's tied to your wrist in a dream where you're small again. Maybe it drifts just out of reach in a sky that feels both familiar and not. The color doesn't fade, because it was never just about sight. It was about wonder. And in dreams, wonder is never forgotten. It waits. It floats. It returns. Emotional pigments. Color is not just a matter of wavelengths. It is the language of emotion. In the quiet hours of sleep, your mind dips its brush into feelings rather than facts. And each feeling has its own hue. Love, for instance, is almost always red. But not the red of danger. No, it is warmer. The red of closeness, of heartbeat, of cheeks kissed by laughter. When you dream of someone you once loved, there is often a red thread somewhere. A scarf, a ribbon, a flicker of light on the wall. Sorrow, on the other hand, is blue. Deep blue. The kind that pools at the bottom of thought. It doesn't always cry. Sometimes it just sits beside you in the dream, silent and still, like a twilight lake. And then there's gold, the color of safety. It hums in the corners of the good dreams. The ones where the house is warm, the lights are soft, and someone you miss is waiting at the kitchen table. Gold is the memory of being held, of being home. These emotional pigments don't appear because your brain is recreating the world. They appear because your heart is translating memory into light. Have you ever woken up and remembered only a color? Not the plot, not the people, just the way it felt, like orange warmth or soft lavender stillness. That's how you know your dreaming mind paints not with reality, but with the truth of how things felt. In childhood, emotions are sharp and bright. Fear is louder, joy is lighter. Everything carries more weight. So the colors from those years tend to shine longer in dreams. They stay luminous, because they were made in moments when you didn't yet question wonder. When the crayons closed their eyes. Do you remember your first box of crayons? The way they stood like a rainbow choir, unmelted, unused, full of quiet promise. Each one had a name you didn't fully understand, but loved anyway. Cerulean, magenta, forest green. Colors with stories tucked inside them. Now picture this. The crayons have closed their eyes, not thrown away, just resting. And in your dreams, they wake again. Not as tools, but as feelings, floating like fireflies in a child's nighttime world. In sleep, the colors of youth come back not as crayons or drawings, but as whole landscapes. That sidewalk chalk drawing on the pavement, it becomes a road in your dream. The yellow you smeared across paper in the shape of a sun, it becomes the sky. The green tree you scribbled without ever seeing one quite like it, it becomes a forest you walk through now, older but still in awe. The brain doesn't need a photograph to remember. It needs a heartbeat, a whisper of emotion. That's why nostalgia carries such strong hues. Childhood isn't always about joy, but it is always about intensity. A scraped knee, a parent's voice, the first time you saw snow or the sea. Your dreaming mind opens that drawer, the one with the saved pictures, the scent of old crayons, the paper curls, and gently pours those memories into a dream. And it does something else, too. It smooths the edges. It takes the sadness, the confusion, the things you didn't understand back then, and softens them in color. The hallway that once scared you becomes just a hallway. The rainstorm that once made you cry becomes a lullaby in gray and silver. When the crayons close their eyes, the dreams begin to draw. Why some dreams glow. Not all dreams are bright. Some drift in shadows, soft and formless. But others, they shimmer. Have you ever had one? A dream that glowed, not with logic, but with light? A place you knew wasn't real, and yet everything sparkled with meaning. A lake that gleamed as if lit from within. A tree whose leaves shimmered like stained glass. A room that pulsed with gold. Why does the brain do this? Why does it sometimes add light where none should exist? Perhaps it's trying to say something. Not in words, but in the language of glow. Because glow isn't just brightness. Glow is intimacy. Glow is sacredness. In waking life, we glow things we cherish. Candles for birthdays, lamps by our bedside, lanterns during festivals. Your dreaming mind knows this. It remembers the power of glow. So it takes the color of a feeling, the gold of comfort, the blue of trust, the rose of innocence, and it illuminates it. Glow makes the dream linger. Even if the story fades, the shimmer remains. A dream glows when it touches something eternal. A truth you may have forgotten. A wish you no longer speak aloud. A part of you that is still very small, still very brave, still believing in magic. And the glow? It is your mind saying yes. Yes, this mattered. Yes, this still matters. So tonight, if your dream glows, even just a little, follow it. Trust it. Let it carry you. It may be showing you the child you once were, or the dream you still hold, or a memory too soft to name, but too beautiful to forget. Let it light your sleep like a lantern in the woods. Let it shimmer without needing to explain. Let it stay. And when you wake, even if the dream fades, even if the color slips away, know this, your heart remembers, and the dream remembers you. Chapter 4. The Brain's Hidden Painter. Close your eyes. Let the dark behind your eyelids become a gentle canvas, wide and waiting. The world outside softens, recedes, and fades. But inside something stirs. Not sleep yet, not quite. A flicker behind your forehead, a shift behind your temples. Deeper in, deeper still. The silence grows warm. And somewhere near the base of your skull, your brain, that quiet lighthouse of thought, begins to pulse in a strange and secret rhythm. This is not the emptiness of unconsciousness. This is the sacred theater of REM sleep, when the body lies in stillness, but the mind begins to shine. It is here, in this sacred phase, that your eyes dart beneath their lids, chasing invisible light across an inner sky. Your brain, resting and awake all at once, turns inward like a mirror turned toward starlight. It doesn't wait for daylight. It makes its own. The visual cortex, the very part of your mind that interprets sight during waking life, begins to glow. Though your eyes see nothing, the brain behaves as though they do. Like a musician picking up a silent instrument, it plays the melodies of vision without needing to open a single window to the world. This is the moment the night becomes luminous, not from stars, but from the firing of neurons. Electrical pulses become soft landscapes. Bursts of chemical light become trees, rivers, cities, faces. And from the depth of darkness, you begin to dream. Neurons that sketch in silence. Inside your sleeping skull, billions of tiny artists awaken. They do not speak. They do not write. But they know how to draw. With signals that last milliseconds, with memories instead of pencils, they begin their quiet work, sketching the impossible. They do not need a subject in front of them. They reach backward through time. A forest you once walked through, a color you saw on a stranger's coat, a doorway from your childhood home, a flash of fire from a candle you once blew out. Every image you've ever seen is stored in the museum of your mind, and tonight the brain walks its own corridors. Each neuron is like a brush dipped in light. It doesn't paint lines. It paints the memory of light, what you felt when you saw red, what green whispered to you, what blue reminded you of when you were small. It's not color for the sake of color. It's emotion wrapped in hue. You might think dreams are random, but even the strangest ones are stitched from something real, stitched from the stored pigments of your life. Your brain is quiet, yes, but it is also a composer, a weaver, a sacred painter with no hands. And it does all this in silence. No one sees, no one hears. Yet in the hush of REM, entire cities are born, vanished relatives appear, oceans spread across ceilings, and rooms light up with the sun that never rose. Neurons fire, shadows stretch, light is invented, and inside you, deep in the folds of your mind, someone paints with memory, dreaming in layers. A dream is not just an image. It is not a single stroke. It is not even a still picture. It is movement. It is symbol. It is scent and voice and rhythm. It is emotion disguised as scenery. And the brain, your quiet painter, knows this. It builds dreams in layers. First, the backdrop, a place, familiar or foreign. A street you once walked, but now it floats. A house you lived in, but now it breathes like a tree. The dream doesn't care for logic, cares for feeling. Then comes the light. Is it morning? Is it dusk? Is everything bathed in silver or lit by a golden candle no one can see? Color arrives not in isolation, but in story. A red coat is not just red. It is the color of danger, of romance, of something half-remembered. A green field may hum with peace or pulse with foreboding. Your brain chooses not just what to show, but how it feels. In this realm, your cortex and limbic system dance together. One paints, the other chooses the emotion behind every stroke. And as you sleep, your mind builds layer upon layer. A person appears, maybe real, maybe imagined. Their mouth moves, but you hear nothing. Still, you understand. A car floats past, but your feet are in water. You know it makes no sense, and yet you follow. Your dreaming brain is not trying to deceive you. It is simply speaking a language deeper than thought. A symbolic tongue, ancient and unspoken. In waking life, we search for meaning. But in dreams, the meaning finds us. The color blue might become your mother's voice. The flickering light might be the echo of a goodbye you never said. Here, things are not labeled, they are felt. They are layered. The painter inside your mind does not work in straight lines. Paints spirals, and as it paints, you drift through memories, through fears, through wonders too soft to speak of. You are not just watching the dream. You are inside it, made of it, the unseen artist within you. And now let yourself sink. Let go of the edges. You do not need to understand. Just breathe. The brushstrokes continue even now. Perhaps you feel them, soft flickers at the back of your mind. Shapes behind the veil. You are both the witness and the subject, the sleeper and the sky. You are the canvas stretched across the cathedral of your skull, and you are the hand that moves, unseen, creating what no one else will ever see. You are the painter. It is strange, isn't it, that we carry such vast inner worlds, that each night, behind closed eyes, we invent universes. Entire lifetimes dreamed in color, in motion, in silence, all from within. And we wake with only the vaguest outline, a mood, a symbol, a shadow of a place that never existed. But maybe that's the point. Maybe the beauty of dreaming isn't that it mimics waking life, but that it reveals a deeper one. A world not of facts, but of feelings. Not of logic, but of light. Where purple means longing, and yellow means home. Where the act of dreaming is itself a form of art. Sacred, unconscious, and utterly unique to you. There is no one else with your memory. No other brain shaped quite like yours. No other painter with your palette. Which means no one has ever dreamed your dreams. And no one ever will. Tonight, as you fall deeper into the velvet dark, remember this. Your brain is not asleep. It is soaring. It is sketching galaxies in your mind. And somewhere within that silent motion, somewhere between the pulses of light and color, is you. A still point, painter who does not know they're painting. A dreamer dreaming themselves. And all of it. Every whisper of light, every wash of color, every flickering face, is a masterpiece made only once. By you. Chapter 5. Why color feels like emotion. Close your eyes. Let everything fall silent. Not the kind of silence that feels hollow, but the kind that arrives after music, when something lingers in the air, like perfume after someone has left the room. In this hush, there is a memory. Maybe not a clear one, not a name or a date, but a feeling. A warmth behind your eyes, a softness in your chest. And within it, there is color. A peach hue rising like a shy smile. The gentle rust of old photographs. A pink so pale it seems made of sighs. This is how color lives inside memory, not as something we see, but as something we feel. In dreams, this feeling deepens. It seeps into the corners of thought, turning them soft and vivid. Science might say it's just neurons painting the mind's sky. But you know better. You've seen it. That moment when the scene shifts, and suddenly, everything is tinted with a blue you can't name, but you know it means something. You don't question it. In dreams, color speaks with full authority. A field of crimson may open like a secret door. A wall may glow with emerald sorrow. And a sky, oh, a sky, may turn lavender just before something changes, like the heart holding its breath. This isn't logic. It's emotion draped in color. Our minds remember feeling not as words but as tones. Like when someone says they miss you and it sounds yellow. Or when an old place appears in a dream and its shadows are painted in dusty rose. Color here is not pigment, it's presence. And just as memory isn't a file you pull from a cabinet, color in dreams isn't a filter you apply. It arises naturally, like a blush on the face of the past. That's why it's so honest, so precise. You may forget the story of the dream, but not the way the blue felt. Not the way it held you. Blue isn't always sad. You've heard it before. Feeling blue, as if sadness chose a uniform. But in dreams, blue doesn't behave. Can be joy, can be peace, can be mystery, can be the color of letting go. Imagine floating in a dream. You are adrift in a lake that doesn't ripple. The sky above mirrors the water below, and both are a kind of impossible blue, the kind that hums instead of shines. You don't feel sad. You feel still. You feel known. Dreams free colors from their daytime rules. Green is not always envy, it can be renewal. Red is not anger, it can be longing. And black is not absence, but presence. It is velvet and warm, like the space between stars. This reversal is a kind of kindness. Your dreaming mind doesn't ask color to behave. It lets it sing. So a hallway in your dream might glow with purple light, not because of a lamp, but because you are searching for truth. Or perhaps you find yourself holding a book whose pages are lit with silver. You don't question why, you just know this silver means wisdom. Emotions don't wear name tags in dreams. They move through shades, through tones, through hues you don't even have words for. Have you ever woken up and tried to describe a color from your dream, only to realize it doesn't exist? Not here, anyway. That's because it was never just color. It was a message, a mirror, a feeling wearing a veil. So next time you dream of something blue, don't assume it's sorrow. Maybe it's serenity. Maybe it's a goodbye that no longer hurts. Maybe it's a love that knows how to stay quiet. The golden ones. And then, there are the dreams that glow. You know the ones. You wake from them and everything feels a little holy. As if something brushed against your soul in the night and left behind a warmth that lingers in your bones. These are the golden dreams. They do not shout. They do not rush. They arrive like candlelight in a quiet chapel. Slow, reverent, and complete. In these dreams, gold doesn't glitter. It glows. It hums like an ancient bell in the distance. You may not remember what you dreamed, but you'll remember how it felt, like being held by something vast and loving, like the light itself was alive. But where does this glow come from? Not from wealth or royalty or any waking world idea of gold. This is older, softer, deeper. Some scientists say golden dreams reflect moments of healing, when the mind is stitching wounds shut with threads of light. Others say it's the result of dopamine, the brain's soft applause. But inside the dream, you don't need a reason. You just follow the light. Maybe you walk through a forest and the trees are glowing gold from within. Or you sit beside a stranger who radiates gold, not as skin, but as aura. These are not dreams that need explanation. They are gifts. They are the dream saying, "You are safe. You are seen." Sometimes gold appears after a long storm, in waking life or inside, as if your soul needs reminding that light still lives somewhere. And when it comes, it doesn't ask questions. It simply rests beside you and warms everything it touches. Color as whisper, not word. There is a moment, just before waking, when the dream begins to fade. The images unravel. The sound softens. The names are gone, but color remains. A trace of indigo on your eyelids. A flicker of coral behind your thoughts. This is the last whisper of the dream, its emotional signature. Because color in dreams isn't about seeing. It's about feeling what can't be said. You may dream of a house you've never seen before, and yet every wall feels blue. Not blue like paint, blue like the echo of a question you've never answered. Or you find yourself on a path through a garden, and everything is green, but not the green of leaves, the green of starting over. This is how the dreaming mind speaks when language has gone quiet. Through tone, through tint, through a palette that knows your heart better than your own words do. In these moments, the color is not describing the dream, it is the dream. Think of a lullaby sung in a language you don't speak. You may not understand the lyrics, but you understand the feeling. That's how color moves in the dream, like a song made of light. And it's why we often wake with a feeling we can't explain. Not joy, not sadness, not fear, but something quieter, something shaped like a hue, a lavender ache, a honeyed hope, a silver hush. Color doesn't need to shout to be heard. In dreams, it just needs to whisper. And in that whisper, it can say everything. So when you drift tonight, and the world grows soft, listen not with your ears, but with your heart. The dreams will speak, not in sentences, but in shades. Not in logic, but in light. And maybe, just maybe, when the sky inside your sleep turns blue, you'll know it isn't just a color. It's a feeling curled into light, waiting to hold you. Chapter 6. The eyes that never closed. Close your eyes, not in force, but in softness, as if you're letting a curtain fall in a room filled with late afternoon light. The world goes dim, the sounds recede, and yet, something begins. In the quiet dark, shapes appear. A memory ripples. Light you didn't expect flickers behind your eyelids. And just like that, you are seeing without looking. How curious that the world disappears when we close our eyes. Yet another world begins. One made of images, feelings, flashes. In dreams, you walk through rooms you never built, talk to people who never lived, and wander landscapes that never grew. And yet, you see them. There is a window behind your eyelids. It's not made of glass or framed by bone, but by memory and imagination. Even while your eyes rest, your mind continues to project. This quiet miracle is known as mental imagery. But in the softness of sleep, it's more than science. It's the whisper of vision turned inward. Why do we see when there is nothing to see? Why do colors still rise in the dark? Perhaps it is because vision, in truth, never stops. It simply changes direction. In the day, it looks outward. At night, it turns home. You aren't inventing the things you see in dreams. You are revealing them. In this darkness, you might glimpse a path winding through golden trees, though your body rests in a silent room. You may look into someone's face and know them completely, though you've never met. These visions are not hallucinations. They are remembered lights, echoes of everything you've ever seen, reformed into something sacred and secret. And the brain, that quiet lantern, continues to glow. It paints with neurons instead of brushes, and emotion instead of outlines. Creates an entire inner theater, one where your closed eyes become the canvas. So even as your body sleeps, your vision keeps watch. The projector behind the lid hums softly, casting stories into the night. Dreams like film reels. Dreams don't speak in sentences. They speak in scenes. One moment, you're walking through a city street. The next, you're inside a train that has no walls, just sky. Then a garden. Then a hallway. Each place stitched together by something invisible. This is the film reel of the mind. Dreams don't unfold in straight lines. They cut. They dissolve. They shift tone and color like cinema. They move like memory, out of order but never out of feeling. There is no script, no director, no camera, and yet the dream feels edited. A scene fades to black just as the mood shifts. Light changes with emotion. The angle of vision moves as if chosen, wide when you're observing, close when you're feeling. You've noticed it, that sensation of being inside a dream rather than watching it. Sometimes it feels like you're behind your own eyes. Other times, you're floating above. Dreams have no rulebook for perspective, they follow the tide of thought. Why do they move this way? Maybe it's because our minds are always recording, not just events, but the way they felt. And in sleep, the brain begins to reassemble those pieces, not to retell the past, but to reshape it. A color from one day, a sound from another. A path from your childhood garden winding through a city you saw once in a photograph. These fragments are like film clips scattered on a floor. The sleeping mind becomes the editor, stitching together a story that makes sense only in feeling. And it's not random. The mind chooses with emotion. The red dress you saw yesterday becomes the red of longing in your dream. The soft gray sky from last week becomes the sigh of goodbye. Dreams do not ask for logic. They ask for surrender. They don't need to make sense to be true. Like an old reel, they flicker and hum, warm with memory, lit from within. And when you wake, the story fades, but the feeling remains. Like a scene seen once but felt forever. Eyes inside the mind. We often say, I can see it in my mind's eye. But what is that eye, really? It's not made of cornea or lens. It doesn't open or close. It's always there, quiet, behind the noise. And when everything else stills, it awakens. This eye is ancient. It sees what you remember, what you imagine, what you long for. It isn't shaped by light, but by meaning. A hill in your dream isn't a hill. It's a symbol. A hallway isn't a structure. It's a feeling. In dreams, this eye takes over. You no longer need the outside world. You see with memory. You see with emotion. And this seeing is softer than real sight, but somehow it carries more weight. Have you ever dreamed of someone you lost long ago? Their features are soft, blurred, incomplete. And yet, you know them. That's the mind's eye working, not with precision, but with presence. It remembers the soul of a thing, not its surface. Or think of a place you've never visited but seen in dreams. Maybe it appears again and again, always changing, but always familiar. That's not just imagination. That's the mind's inner lens turning fragments of thought into scenes of meaning. This eye never grows tired. It doesn't blink. It doesn't miss. It stores every color you've loved, every room you've noticed, every angle of light that ever made you feel something. And when the world goes quiet, it gathers them and lets them breathe. It is not a perfect eye, but it is a tender one. It sees not what is, but what matters. And in doing so, it gives your dreams their most powerful gift, vision without eyes. So the next time you drift into sleep and see something glowing behind your lids, know that it's not just a trick of the brain. It's your inner vision, alive and awake, shaping your dreams with love. When seeing becomes remembering, there is a feeling, not quite a thought, not quite an image, that lingers when you wake from certain dreams. You don't remember the scene, but you remember the color. A shade of gold, a softness of green, a stretch of deep blue that hummed like a lullaby. That's because sometimes in dreams you are not seeing. You are remembering what it felt like to see. The brain stores vision as emotion. It doesn't just capture what your eyes saw, it keeps the experience of looking. the warmth of candlelight, the shimmer of water, the glow of someone's smile. In sleep, when the mind rewinds, it plays those feelings back. Not always clearly, not always in full, but enough to give color to the dark. So when your dream takes you through a hallway lit with soft yellow light, it might not be a place you know, but it is a feeling you've known. That yellow might be safety, or it might be hope. When you see a sky that isn't quite blue, more like something between blue and thought, it may be peace, or memory, or grief made soft. These dream scenes are not painted from scratch. They are echoes. The mind pulls color from 1,000 yesterdays. A red sweater from childhood, the green of a park bench, the silver glow of dawn on a winter street. And in this way, dreaming becomes a quiet act of remembering. Not to recall the past, but to relive the color it left inside you. Because color is never just color. It is feeling. And in dreams, feeling becomes light. So the next time your eyes close and you begin to see without seeing, know that you are remembering not with the mind, but with the heart. And in that soft remembering, the world returns. Not as it was, but as it felt. Chapter 7. Black and white dreams still bleed color. Close your eyes. Let the light go soft. Let it retreat like the last breath of a candle. In the quiet that follows, imagine a dream beginning. Not in vivid blues or lush golds, but in grayscale. A world made of mist and shadow, like the pages of an old photograph, like the hum of a black and white television warming into life. There was a time, not so long ago, when people dreamt without color. Or so they said. When asked, many described their dreams as monochrome, like the shows they watched every evening in flickering tones of gray. The dream world, like the waking one, reflects what it's fed. In the early days of television, before color washed across every screen, the stories people absorbed were black and white. And in turn, their dreams seemed to echo this palette. Shadows walking through shadow, stories painted in light and dark alone. It's not that their eyes forgot color. It's that their inner world, shaped by what they saw each day, softened its range. The brain, like a gentle sponge, absorbs without protest. And the dreams followed suit. Today, the world is saturated. Neon signs blink. Phones glow. Advertisements shout in every color language can name. And now, far fewer people report dreaming in black and white. But those old dreams, the grayscale ones, still hold mystery. They weren't less alive. They weren't empty. They were stories told with fewer notes, yet just as much feeling. Like piano keys playing only in minor chords. Soft, stark, honest. It makes you wonder, how much of your dream world is made by what you see each day? Is it shaped by memory or by mood? By what your eyes capture or what your heart filters in? And if black and white dreams still appear, what are they trying to say? The brain decides the palette. When you fall asleep, the world of form fades, but the world of feeling blooms. In that space, your brain becomes the painter. And color, in dreams, is not made by the eye. It is chosen by something deeper. The subconscious, that quiet artist beneath your waking thoughts, picks the palette. Sometimes it chooses boldly. A crimson sky, a turquoise lake, a room lit in gold. Other times, it withdraws color like breath. A scene appears in grayscale, not because it lacks meaning, but because the mind wants it that way. This is not about sight. Even those who've never seen with their eyes report dreams. Some filled with light, others with texture, sound, or sensation. Dreaming is not limited by the body. It moves with emotion. And the colors, or the absence of them, are part of the story. When you dream in black and white, your mind may be simplifying, stripping the scene down to its bones. Or maybe it's remembering something old, a time, a feeling, a film, a moment, from when color wasn't needed to feel. Or perhaps the mind is protecting, because sometimes color is too much, too loud, and the dream, like a whisper, chooses silence instead. Black and white becomes a kind of hush, a way to soften something sharp. The brain decides the palette not to trick you, but to tell the truth it can't say out loud. And so a street appears not in golden dusk, but in charcoal mist. A voice speaks from a figure drawn in outlines. A memory returns, not in full hue, but in gentle contrast. And it still matters, still aches, still teaches. The dream does not need color to move you. It only needs intention. And your mind quietly always knows exactly what you need to see. Colorless doesn't mean empty. It's easy to think of black and white as absence, as emptiness. But in dreams, black and white is not a void. It is a choice, a texture, a tone. Picture a landscape in grayscale. The sky is silver gray. The ground is slate. Trees stand in deep shadow, and a path winds between them like a whisper. You are walking. The dream holds no color, but it holds atmosphere, depth, meaning. This is not blankness. This is presence without decoration. Like a whisper instead of a shout. Like a candle instead of a blaze. In these dreams, the lack of color sharpens other senses. You notice more. The shape of things. The movement. The mood. The contrast between one moment and the next. A room in black and white feels different. It breathes differently. You notice the silence. The way light pools on the floor. The expression on a face, unlit by hue, but heavy with feeling. There's poetry in grayscale. It doesn't compete. It just is. It doesn't tell you what to feel, it lets you decide. And maybe that's why these dreams stay with us. Because they don't overpower. They allow us to fill the space, to project feeling into the gaps. A dream without color still pulses, still aches, still dances. So if you ever wake from a dream drained of color, don't think something was missing. Think of it as a canvas cleared of noise, a story told in light and shadow, a message delivered not with paint, but with pause. Because even silence carries a song. Even the colorless holds weight, a splash at the end. And then, sometimes, just sometimes, the dream shifts. It begins in black and white, a world of gentle contrast. You wander through soft scenes. A house, a corridor, a memory. Everything is quiet. The sky is pale. The ground is dim. Faces drift in and out like sketches. And then, without warning, color. A splash of red. A bloom of gold. A single flower glowing in the center of the room. A hand reaches out, and the fingernails are painted cobalt. A curtain blows in wind that you cannot feel, and it is deep violet. Why does the brain do this? Why save color for the end? Maybe it's a memory surfacing, a moment from waking life stitched into the dream like thread through cloth. Or maybe it's a signal from the dream, from the self, that something important just happened. The sudden arrival of color in a grayscale dream feels like a bell. Not one that rings loudly, but one that hums deep in your chest. Says, notice this. Says, feel this more deeply. And you do. You remember that one red apple, that one golden dress, that single streak of sunrise breaking over a gray world. The dream knows how to use contrast. It knows that color, when held back, becomes holy. It's the same reason filmmakers save a burst of light for the final scene. Why poets describe a single red bird against a winter sky. The rarity gives it weight. And so your dream may end not in silence, but in color. A splash, a bloom, a flame. You wake up, not remembering the whole story, but that moment, that one image, that color. And it stays with you like a secret, a red scarf against the gray, a memory kissed with hue, a dream that still breathes in the folds of your mind. Chapter 8. When symbols bloom in color. You are walking down a long hallway in a dream. The walls are shadowed and soft, and your footsteps don't make a sound. Everything is still, not silent exactly, but full of a kind of hush that listens back. At the very end of this hallway, a door waits for you. It is red, not bright like a fire engine or deep like a wine. It is the red of warning, the red that hums low and steady in the base of your spine, a red your body recognizes even before your thoughts catch up. You don't know what's behind the door, but you hesitate. Something in you knows. Red means stop. Red means wait. Red means danger, even if you've never seen this door before in your life. In waking life, we are surrounded by this message. Red lights stop traffic. Red flags mark risk. Red stains a wound or the edge of a page. It is the color of heat, of intensity, of high alert. And yet, in a dream, red does more than warn. It feels, pulses, it stirs something ancient. Long before cities and sirens, perhaps red was already sacred. The color of berries against a wild forest, the color of blood that brings life and also takes it. Our ancestors painted caves in red ochre, marked sacred rites in crimson. It is not a color we chose. It chose us. So when your dreaming mind paints a door in red, it isn't random. It's instinct speaking in hue. Biology meeting myth. The brain doesn't shout in dreams. It shows, places a symbol before you and lets you feel your way toward its meaning. And sometimes, red is not just danger, it is desire, passion, a beating heart behind a locked door, a risk you are finally ready to take. Dreams are quiet artists, and color is their brush. Green isn't just for leaves. Now the dream has changed. You are no longer in a hallway. You are outside barefoot, perhaps in soft green grass. The world smells like something new. The sky is quiet blue, and around you, everything is alive. Trees lean in to listen. A breeze curls gently around your skin. And all around, that gentle shade green washes the landscape like a lullaby. It is not loud. It doesn't need to be. Green knows how to whisper. It knows how to stay. When we dream in green, we often think of nature, of forests, meadows, plants that grow without needing to be told how. But green also means something more. It is the color of growth, yes, but also youth, of renewal, of the heart waking up again after winter. Green can be shy, like the first leaf of spring, or bold, like a jungle refusing to be tamed. In dreams, it can signal beginnings, the start of healing, the edge of hope returning. Some dreams show us green places we've never been, gardens we've never walked, fields we've never touched. Still, they feel familiar, as if the color is not showing us a place, but a feeling, a promise that something inside us is still growing, even if we don't yet know its name. There is another side to green, too, one we don't speak of as often. The side of envy, of longing, of something we want but do not have. In dreams, green can carry the ache of desire, the hunger for change. But it is never cruel. Even in jealousy, green is tender. It is the soul's way of saying, I wish, of showing us what we yearn for, not to taunt, but to remind us that we are still reaching. And that reaching is a kind of life, too. So when green arrives in a dream, it brings more than trees. It brings the quiet truth that we are still becoming, that we are not finished yet. And that is a beautiful thing. The color you didn't expect. But what happens when the color doesn't fit the feeling? You dream of an ocean, and it's not blue. It's yellow. You dream of a funeral, but everything glows soft pink. You stand in a place that should frighten you, but the walls are painted lavender, and the light feels safe. Sometimes, in dreams, color disobeys. It shows up where it doesn't belong. And that is when the dreaming mind is at its most mysterious. There is no rulebook in the dream world. The brain doesn't always follow logic. It follows emotion, metaphor, rhythm. So when it chooses an unexpected color, it is doing something deliberate. It is asking you to pay attention. Yellow ocean, perhaps fear disguised as brightness. A funeral in pink, maybe grief that has turned soft, or love that lingers even after loss. Color in dreams is never just decoration. It is language, and like any language, it can speak in riddles. Our waking minds love to sort things into neat boxes. Blue is calm, black is sad, white is pure. But the dreaming mind does not sort. It blends, confuses on purpose, because meaning is not always meant to be clear. Sometimes it is meant to be felt. That is the beauty of a dream. You don't have to understand it. You only have to let it move through you. So if a dream surprises you with color, if a nightmare is golden or a love story is drenched in gray, don't push it away. Sit with it. Feel what the color is saying. Sometimes the unexpected is more honest than the obvious. And dreams are nothing if not honest in their own quiet way. Your inner symbolist. You may not be a painter, but your brain is. Every night, as you drift into sleep, your mind picks up a brush, invisible, intuitive, and begins to color your world. Not with intention exactly, not with planning, but with something deeper than either. Instinct, emotion, memory, and mystery all moving together. Like a poet choosing a word for its feeling, your dreaming mind chooses color for its resonance. It paints your fear in rust and your hope in cream. It draws a path in gold, a silence in silver. It doesn't ask you to think. It asks you to see, to feel. And in that, you become the symbolist, the interpreter, the one who wakes up and wonders, why was the sky green last night? And that question, that wondering, is part of the dream's gift. It lingers. It opens something. The brain is a cathedral of symbols. During sleep, it turns down the noise and lets its deeper voice speak. Not in paragraphs, but in pictures. And those pictures are often colored not by science, but by soul. A childhood bedroom in warm amber. A stranger in violet robes. A hallway with no end, lit in pale blue. Each of these carries meaning not fixed, but fluid, like water reflecting moonlight. The meaning is not what the color is, but what it becomes to you. The red door might mean danger one night and courage the next. And that's the beauty of it. Your dreams are your own gallery. No one else can interpret them quite like you. You are the painter, the poet, the wanderer, and the witness, all in one. And so, as you sleep tonight, perhaps you will notice the colors more closely. Not just what they are, but how they make you feel. And in that feeling, you will find a kind of truth that daylight forgets. The truth that sometimes the deepest parts of you speak not in words, but in color. And those colors bloom only in the quietest corners of the night. And when you open your eyes in the morning, maybe you will still remember. The shade of a dream. The way green felt like forgiveness. The way red knocked like a drum. The way the colors did not explain but showed. And that is more than enough. That is the language of the soul at rest. Chapter 9. Color without light. Close your eyes. Not just softly, but as if you've never opened them. As if sight was never part of your world. In this darkness, which is not empty but full, another kind of world begins to form. A world of touch, of sound, of motion and stillness. A breeze brushes past your ear. A texture rises beneath your fingertips. The warmth of a nearby presence swells like a sun without shape. You are dreaming, not in color, not in image, but in sensation. For those born without sight, this is how the mind tells stories at night. There are no painted skies or flickering light. No faces drawn from memory. But there is space. There is texture. There is the sound of something moving softly in the distance. The hush of footsteps in grass. The low hum of wind through fabric. The whisper of a voice without form. Dreams for the blind are not dimmed. They are simply woven differently. The body remembers the world through pressure, warmth, and echo. And the dreaming mind, ever intuitive, does not need eyes to begin. It builds from touch, the cool curve of a metal railing, the rhythm of fingers on wood, the breath of a doorway before you cross it. It builds from sound, voices with no face, laughter held in the air like perfume, rain that feels like a lullaby. In this kind of dreaming, space is sensed, not seen. And what a gift it is to move through that night-built landscape with nothing but the music of the moment and the memory of movement. This is not the absence of vision. It is the presence of something else entirely. What is color without sight? Now imagine something deeper. You've never seen red. Not once. You have no image for it. No sunlit rose. No fire truck speeding past. No strawberry held in your palm. But you hear the word. You feel its weight in conversation. You hear the rise in someone's voice when they say stop or hot or love. What is red then? Not a wavelength. Not a pigment. Not something the eye detects, but something the heart absorbs. Can red still exist without being seen? Yes, but differently. It becomes emotion. It becomes temperature. It becomes urgency or desire or heat. It becomes felt. For those who have never seen, color is often described through metaphor. Red is warm like the stove. Blue is cool like water. Yellow is sharp like lemon. Green is soft like grass under bare feet. These are not colors in the visual sense, but translations of feeling. And the mind, even without sight, is fluent in that language. When the blind dream, these feelings come alive. A space may feel red because it is pulsing, pressing, intense. A person may seem blue because they are quiet, calm, distant. It is not the eye that names the world, but the soul that responds. Color without sight becomes a symphony of associations, where each hue is a harmony of sensation, sound, and sentiment. And in dreams, where logic loosens and wonder blooms, the mind allows red to be anger or passion or a rush of heat down the spine, even if it has never been seen. What a miracle, then, that color lives not only in the eye but in the story the body tells itself. Memory without picture. Let us drift even further now, beyond the horizon of the visible, into memory itself. Memory does not depend on sight. It is deeper than that, a well the mind draws from even in darkness. A memory can be a scent, a rhythm, a tension in the chest, and from these dreams rise. Even without visual memories, the dreaming brain is a weaver. It collects the fragments of experience, the softness of wool against skin, the deep thud of a distant drum, the cadence of a friend's voice, and spins them into stories. There is a kind of memory that feels more like essence than record. You may not remember what something looked like, but you remember what it meant, the comfort of a certain space, the way your body leaned toward a laugh, the way your heart sped up before a fall. These are emotional memories, and they are powerful fuel for dreams. For those who cannot see, memory is not less rich. It is simply built differently, from temperature, tension, pressure, rhythm, emotion. It is a memory made of feeling, not form. And in sleep, the brain uses these ingredients to build a world that is just as vivid, just in a different way. You may dream of someone's presence before you ever dreamed of their face. You may feel the shape of a room without ever knowing how the light falls in it. And still, the dream moves, full of meaning, full of experience, full of invisible beauty. Dreams, then, are not a mirror. They are a map, and memory is the ink, whether it is made of image or touch or sound or soul, the palette of the soul. And now, finally, let us settle into the softest thought of all, that even in perfect darkness, the mind still paints. The soul is not bound to the eye. It is not limited by light. It creates because that is what it knows how to do. There is a palette within you, not of pigments, but of feelings. And every night, when sleep descends, the soul dips its brush into that well. It paints not with red or blue or gold, but with longing, joy, sorrow, peace. It uses memory like a canvas. It uses emotion like light. For the blind, and perhaps for all of us, dreams are not pictures. They are experiences. They are tides that move through us. The brain does not ask, what should this look like? It asks, what should this feel like? And that question is answered with silence, with weight, with touch, with knowing. So the dream is painted not with light, but with meaning. A hallway that feels like comfort, a voice that feels like home, a touch that feels like the color green. And isn't that, in a way, a deeper kind of art? To create not just what can be seen, but what can be known without seeing. The soul, after all, doesn't need eyes to speak. It only needs stillness, sleep, a canvas of night, and the quiet courage to feel without needing to name. So tonight, as you drift, let go of sight. Let go of color as you've known it. Let feeling guide you instead. Let a sound carry you like a current. Let warmth mean something. Let the pressure of the bed beneath you become the first stroke of a dream you do not need to see to believe. And when you enter that dream, that place of color without light, remember, the soul paints in its own language, and you, even in darkness, are still a gallery of wonders. Chapter 10. The sleep that paints the future. There are nights when you do not simply sleep, you wander. You do not drift aimlessly through silence, but instead through vivid tapestries, radiant and blooming with color. Start softly, a blur of violet behind your eyelids, a flicker of rose, like the memory of a sunrise. You do not plan it, and yet there it is, a scene unfolding in shades too bold for language, a place you've never visited but somehow know. And in that space, something strange begins to happen. Ideas arrive that never occurred to you before. Paths open in your mind that daylight never carved. It is as if your sleeping self is painting with a brush borrowed from the future. Long before science wrapped dreams in measurement and brain waves, they were seen as messages, guides, warnings, gifts, and sometimes color-soaked sparks that lit entire revolutions of art and thought. Dmitri Mendeleev, the Russian chemist, once saw the periodic table in a dream, not in black and white, but as a dance of elemental order. Elias Howe dreamed of a sewing machine, its needle moving through cloth like a silent rhythm. And Paul McCartney once awoke with a tune he'd never heard, already playing in full color in his head. That melody became yesterday. These are not coincidences. They are what happens when the mind, unburdened by waking logic, allows colors to speak. In dreams, color is more than pigment. It's emotion, memory, intuition. And when it leads the way, it can carry you to places you didn't know existed, or were hiding just beneath the surface of your own mind. Lucid canvas. Somewhere between sleep and waking, there is a rare and gentle art, one where the dreamer becomes the painter. You are dreaming, yes, but you know it. You are not just watching, you are guiding. This is lucid dreaming, and here your mind becomes a canvas. You may find yourself walking through a field of light. The grass is not green, not exactly, but rather a shifting shimmer of jade and silver. You look down, and your feet leave trails of gold in the soil. You think of the sky, and it blooms with stars, not because it is real, but because you choose it to be so. This is not fantasy. This is your brain, fully aware while dreaming, coloring in the silence. Lucid dreamers have reported creating entire cities in sleep, painting murals, writing songs, solving equations. It feels unreal, and yet neurologically, it is simply your prefrontal cortex, usually quiet during dreaming, lighting up, gently reminding you, this is a dream. You are here, and once you know it, the rules dissolve. You are not limited by logic, not anchored to gravity. You can call forth colors from memory, mix light like watercolor. You can fly. You can fall safely. You can reach into the dream and shape it with your will. And perhaps what's most mysterious of all, the colors in lucid dreams are often more intense, more saturated, more alive than anything you've seen in waking life. This may be because your brain, freed from the need to render reality, now paints purely from emotion. It draws not what is, but what feels. Red is not just red. It's heat, longing, memory. Blue is not just sky. It's peace, distance, a quiet kind of hope. Inside the lucid canvas, colors don't just describe the world. They become it, from dream to brush. In the quiet corners of art history, you will find them. Painters, poets, and visionaries who followed dreams not like riddles, but like roadmaps. They woke with their minds stained in color, and the world, in turn, was changed by what they saw in sleep. Vincent van Gogh, in letters to his brother, spoke often of dreams, not just as visions, but as forces. He dreamed of yellow houses and violet skies, of stars that swirled and eyes that shimmered. He once wrote, "I dream of painting, and then I paint my dream." And so we have The Starry Night, a painting that doesn't show a real sky, but a remembered one. A sky seen not with eyes, but with soul. And Salvador Dali? He did not wait for dreams. He chased them. He would fall asleep in a chair holding a spoon with a plate on the floor. As soon as sleep arrived, the moment his hand relaxed and the spoon clattered, he'd wake, catch the last echo of the dream, and sketch it furiously. His melting clocks, burning giraffes, endless deserts. They are not surreal to the dreaming mind. They are familiar, known, because Dali captured not what the eye sees, but what the inner eye glimpses for only seconds at a time. Even poets and writers, from William Blake to Edgar Allan Poe, have described dreams as a second reality. A world just as vast, just as textured, where color is the language and emotion is its ink. To them, sleep was not escape. It was return. Return to a place where the self uncoils, where images are not bound by form, and where inspiration walks barefoot. And what is it that so often lingers from these creative dreams? Color. Always color. A blue dress that means morning. A red door that means courage. A golden bird that whispers a forgotten truth. These are not symbols invented by logic. They come from the dream, and they guide the hand, the brush, the voice, waking with color on your mind. And then you awaken, not always suddenly. Sometimes it's like surfacing slowly from beneath a warm lake. Other times, it's a soft blink into morning. But something's different. The light looks more golden today. The air feels tinted, like you're seeing the world through a memory. You hold your breath. You try to recall it. That dream. Maybe it was a garden. Maybe a room filled with mirrors. Maybe just a color, soft green, like new leaves. Or deep indigo, like twilight behind a mountain. You cannot remember the details, but the feeling remains. The color has clung to you. It hums in your chest, echoing something unspoken. Scientists have tried to measure this. The emotional residue of dreams. And yes, there are names for it: affective salience, lingering imagery, cognitive afterglow. But that doesn't explain why a dream about a yellow balloon can make you feel peaceful all day. Why a purple hallway in sleep can bring back a grandmother's voice you'd forgotten. This is the quiet power of dreaming in color. It doesn't end with waking. The emotion stretches into daylight, like sunlight through a curtain. Can make a decision feel softer, a fear feel less sharp. Can guide a choice, inspire a word, open a door. And perhaps that is what dreams do best. They do not just entertain. They remind. They show you, in colors beyond logic, who you are and what you feel before the noise of the world begins again. So when you close your eyes tonight, let the colors come. Let them swirl and pulse and wander. Let them guide you, not toward answers, but toward better questions. Let your sleep be a canvas. And let your mind, quietly, gently, become the painter of its own luminous truth. Chapter 11. The Ocean Beneath Our Sleep. Target word count, 2,000 words, where the mind dives deep. There is a moment each night when you begin to drift beyond what you know. Not just beyond the waking world, but beyond thought itself. Deeper than memory, deeper than stories. It's not like falling. It's more like sinking, softly, like a leaf on still water. You may not notice when it begins. Your breath slows. Your body forgets how to hold tension. And then, like slipping beneath a veil, you enter the ocean beneath your sleep. Here there are no edges, no clocks, no names, just space, vast and dark and full. It is not the kind of dark that frightens. It is the dark that holds you, like a mother cradling a child. This is deep sleep, the place where your brain waves slow to a silent rhythm, where dreams no longer look like stories but sensations, shapes, shades. Science calls this stage slow wave sleep, but words are too small. It feels more like diving into a place older than language, where instincts murmur, where images ripple like currents. You no longer dream of things you've seen. You dream of things you've never known, yet somehow feel familiar. In this deep, underwater realm of your own mind, colors come not from memory, but from meaning. A green that feels like safety, a black that feels like truth, a silver that feels like something just out of reach. These colors do not speak in sentences. They hum in your bones. As you sink deeper into the ocean beneath your sleep, the boundaries between thought and self begin to dissolve. There is no you watching the dream. There is only the sea and the knowing that you are part of it. Dark blue dreams. Have you ever woken from a dream that felt like water? Not an image, not a beach or a wave, but in mood. Slow, dark, full of shapes that didn't quite form. A dream that left no memory, but an emotion, quiet, weighty, deep. These are the dreams of dark blue. They arrive when your mind is far below the surface, when logic is long gone and even imagination rests. They move like currents, slow and unseen. You do not control them. You are carried. In these dreams, color takes on new meaning. Blue is not just a hue. It is a world. It is the soft pull downward. It is the hush before understanding. It is the space between heartbeats. Many dreamers speak of this blue of rooms without light, of skies that stretch forever, of water that holds them without drowning. These dreams are not frightening. They are full of presence. They remind you that your mind is vast, that even when you are not thinking, you are still becoming. And perhaps that's why these dreams linger. Not because of what happened in them, but because of what they made you feel. Safe, small, soft, like drifting through the folds of your own soul. Just as the deepest parts of the ocean are cloaked in silence and pressure, the deepest parts of sleep cradle thoughts you do not need to name. They live there, like ancient whales beneath the sea, massive, slow, full of songs you will never quite hear but always somehow feel. Bioluminescent thoughts, and then a spark. A sudden light flutters across the darkness. A flash of color, vivid, alive, moving like a jellyfish in the deep. It's not bright enough to wake you, but it glows inside your dream like a secret lantern. This is the moment of insight, the flicker in the depths. Scientists call it neural activation, a sudden shift in the brain's chemistry. But in the language of the dream, it feels like something waking up far below. Have you ever had a dream that suddenly changed direction? A door opens where none existed. A person appears who shouldn't be there, and yet feels right. A phrase is spoken that you know you'll never forget, even if you don't understand it. These are bioluminescent thoughts, glowing fragments in the ocean of your mind. They do not come from will. They are gifts, like deep-sea creatures that flash in the dark not to be seen, but simply because that is how they survive. Your brain, even in its stillest sleep, is alive, firing, breathing, dreaming, and sometimes it offers you a glimpse, a light, a color that means something. Think of how a dream sometimes ends with a single color: a red apple rolling across the floor, a violet sky over a forgotten city, a gold coin on a windowsill spinning. These are not accidents. These are the lights your mind sends up from the deep. Clues, echoes, invitations. They rise through the dark like fireflies in water. Never in a hurry, never in a pattern, but always real. And when you wake, they may vanish from memory, but not from you. They have already touched something, shifted something, painted something on the walls of your inner world, drifting past the self. And then, deeper still, past thought, past form, there is a place where you stop being the dreamer. You become the dream. It happens without knowing. You are no longer watching the scene. You are the color in it. You are the fog rolling over the hills. You are the ocean current beneath the swimmer. You are the sound, the scent, the rhythm. You are not yourself, and yet more yourself than ever. This is where the ego loosens its grip, where I fades and is remains, a state not of sleepwalking, but of soul floating, where the dream doesn't tell a story, it is the story. In these moments, you may dream of being light, of being air, of being nothing at all, just warmth or movement or a whisper across time. Some dreamers report becoming color itself, not seeing red, but being red, not looking at the sky, but being the blue that holds it. These are not metaphors. These are real experiences inside the mind, yes, but no less meaningful. The ocean beneath our sleep does not care for names. It doesn't ask who you are. It invites you to become what you feel. And in this, there is peace. There is softness. There is surrender. So you drift, past memory, past image, past self. You become the sea, the current, the dream, the color. And in that quiet, sacred place, you rest. Not just to restore your body, but to remember, in ways only the soul understands, who you have always been beneath the surface. A dreamer made of waves, a thought wrapped in silence, a light pulsing in the dark. And tonight, when sleep finds you again, may you remember this, that the mind does not end at thought, that color lives even in the shadows, that sometimes the deepest truths are the ones that do not speak. They only drift, glow, and wait for you in the ocean beneath your sleep. Chapter 12, The Memory of Color. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly. Drift gently into the space behind thought, the place where your mind begins to float. Here, memories do not arrive as full stories. They return as fragments, A color, a scent, a feeling in the chest that has no name, but feels like truth. This is where many dreams begin, not from facts or timelines, but from emotion. The heart, in its quiet way, paints the backdrop long before the mind fills in the scene. It chooses not what happened, but what was felt. Perhaps you see a room from your childhood, but it's not the wallpaper or the furniture that stands out. It's the yellow of the light coming through the window. That yellow isn't just sunlight. It is safety. It is love. It is the way your mother once tucked your hair behind your ear without a word. Or maybe you dream of someone you've lost. They do not say anything. They are just standing there, in a coat they never wore under a sky that never existed. But around them, a soft glow of blue, like early evening or forgiveness. The heart remembers through color. Long after the details fade, the hue remains. A deep green that once meant a walk in the woods with someone who made you laugh. A dusty rose that once meant the silence of a goodbye you didn't expect. In dreams, you rarely recall numbers or calendars or names, but the emotion never leaves. It soaks into the dream, staining the scene like watercolor into cotton. And perhaps that is why dreams feel so real, because they are made of what matters most. Not what you know, but what you've felt. The heart, it seems, is the true artist behind the dream. Sepia shadows. Some dreams feel old. Not just familiar, aged, like a photograph that's lived too long in the sun. The edges are soft. The light is warm, but dim. The world around you looks like it belongs to another time, even if the moment never happened. This is the sepia of the mind, that gentle golden haze that makes everything feel like memory, even when it isn't. These dreams often come with silence, not emptiness, but reverence, like walking through a museum of your own soul. You may find yourself in a house that doesn't exist, but still feels like home. The floors creak with a sound you've never heard, and yet your bones recognize it. The curtains flutter. The walls hum with an amber light. It is not the past exactly. It is the echo of how the past felt. Science might say that memory and dreaming are deeply linked, that during sleep, your brain reactivates old patterns, sorting and filing your experiences. But you, the dreamer, do not feel this as filing. You feel it as returning. Sepia dreams hold no urgency. They move slowly, like dust falling in a beam of light. Often, they bring people you haven't seen in years, or places that are now gone. But there is no sadness, just a softness, as though the dream itself understands that time has passed and has chosen to dress your memories in the gentlest light possible. In these dreams, color is not bright. It is deep, worn, like an old coat you keep in the back of your closet. Not to wear, but to remember who you once were. These dreams remind you, you have lived, you have felt, and even as time slips forward, your mind still carries the warmth of what was. Not as data, as color, as gold. Dreams that echo photographs. Sometimes in sleep you see a picture, not a literal one, but a dream that mirrors a photograph you once saw long ago. Perhaps it's your grandmother's kitchen, with light pouring through lace curtains, or a birthday party frozen in time, where everyone is smiling in just the right way. But in the dream, something shifts. The table is the same, but the plates are the wrong color. The window opens to a sea instead of a garden. The dog you loved is there, though it had passed long before the photo was ever taken. This is how dreams echo, not in perfect clarity, but in feeling. They do not recreate the image. They feel their way back to it. Old photographs are strange time machines. They hold what once was, the angles, the colors, the shadows, but they also carry what you felt when you looked at them. The smile of someone who would one day leave. The shirt you used to wear when you believed in magic. The laugh you can still hear if you try. Dreams reach for these feelings and then recolor them. Not to deceive, but to heal. A black and white photo becomes a dream bathed in gold. A faded childhood snapshot becomes a lush, green field with skies the color of freedom. You may not recognize the place or even the people, but you will recognize the emotion, that strange ache of joy and longing, as if you've gone back in time, but only as a ghost. And still you wake with peace, Because the dream gave you something the photograph never could: motion, sound, light that changes. A moment you could walk through, if only once. In the quiet of the night, your dreams hold these memories up to the light, and, just for a moment, they shimmer again. When we repaint the past, there are dreams that do something even more tender. They return you to a moment you wish had gone differently, and then let you live it again softly. You might dream of someone you argued with, but in the dream, there is no anger. Just a walk by the river, just silence shared, a forgiveness that is not spoken, only felt. Or you might revisit a place you left in sorrow, but in the dream, it is blooming with flowers. The sky is not gray, but peach. The wind carries music instead of memory. These are not lies. These are not edits. They are repaints. The brain, in its dreaming state, is not bound by chronology. It is an artist with free hands and a gentle heart. And sometimes, when it senses a wound that still stirs, it dips its brush in new color. A goodbye becomes a beginning. A regret becomes a lesson dressed in soft pink. A fear becomes a bridge made of golden thread. You do not always wake remembering the dream, but you may wake feeling lighter, as if some invisible burden was set down while you slept. And perhaps it was. Perhaps your dreaming mind walked a memory, not to change it, but to understand it better, to touch it with new color, because you are not just a collection of memories. You are also the way you carry them, and dreams help you carry them with more grace. So tonight, as you close your eyes, trust the dream. Trust the heart to remember what matters. Trust the colors to return, not as they were, but as they need to be. For in the hush between memory and sleep, your mind becomes a garden of light. And every color that rises is a truth your waking self forgot how to say. Chapter 13. Do animals dream in color? You close your eyes beneath a warm blanket of silence, and somewhere beyond your window, a bird does the same. Tucked into the crook of a branch, chest rising and falling with the rhythm of the wind. It is night now. The sky is dark. The trees hush their leaves, and wings that once carved through air now fold in stillness. But within the soft shell of sleep, something stirs. A flicker, a flutter, not of feathers but of thought. Dreaming doesn't only belong to humans. Scientists, with their quiet instruments and careful watching, have seen it: bursts of brain activity in sleeping birds, rhythms like our own. And in these bursts, what rises? Perhaps the bird dreams of flight, but not the kind it already knows. Perhaps, in sleep, it remembers how the sky felt at dawn 2 weeks ago. The amber curve of light on its wings, the wind just before a storm, the shimmer of water below. Or maybe it dreams of something stranger, a sky more brilliant than real skies. One painted in impossible blues, threaded with gold. Color, after all, is not only seen, it's felt. It lives in the nerves, in the pulse, in the memory of light. And if you've ever seen a bird's plumage shimmer in the sun, violet turning to jade with a tilt of the head, you'll know. Color is part of them. It lives in their bodies. Why wouldn't it live in their dreams too? So you wonder, when the wings stop moving and the world falls quiet, does a bird see itself flying again? But this time through lavender clouds, under a honey-colored moon? Maybe sleep is not a break from flight, but a return to its purest form. The cat's velvet vision. Now picture a cat. Not wild, not prowling, but safe and curled. A comma of fur folded on a windowsill, sunlight fading around its paws. Watch closely. The twitch of a whisker, a paw that flicks against something unseen. Eyelids flutter, breath deepens. The cat is dreaming. But what do cats dream of? Do they chase? Do they climb? Or do they return to some early moment, curled against warmth, their mother's fur a blanket, the milk-scented air glowing amber and still? Science has peeked, quietly, into the sleeping brains of cats. Their REM cycles look like ours. Their bodies respond: 2 little shivers, soft growls, a flick of the tail. These are not empty twitches. They are echoes of inner worlds. And in those worlds, there is likely color. A cat's waking eyes are sharp. They don't see all the same hues we do. Not reds, not pinks, but blues, yellows, and shades of gray. Enough to know the world's shape, its warmth, its softness. Enough, perhaps, to dream in velvet tones. Maybe they dream of a field at twilight, not green, but gray-gold, scattered with shadows. Or of a mouse made not of fur, but of light, glowing and darting, always just out of reach. There is poetry in their sleep. They tuck their noses beneath their tails and drift into a world that is part memory, part instinct. No words, no narrative, just the curl of a leaf, the shimmer of dusk, the quiet thrill of something moving in tall grass. As the sun disappears and night tucks itself around the world, the cat sighs in its sleep. Somewhere behind those still eyelids, a dream rolls on, slow and soft, brushed in the color of instinct. The brain beyond language. And now drift deeper, beneath feathers, beyond fur, past the shapes of species and names, into the quiet mystery of what it means to dream without language. You, with your words, your inner thoughts, your stories and memories, you paint your dreams with sentences. But animals, they speak a different tongue. They know the world through motion, sensation, color, smell. They don't describe, they feel. And so their dreams, too, may be painted not in plot, but in pulses of color. A flash of yellow meaning food, a curl of blue meaning safety, patch of silver movement meaning play. There is a freedom in this, a dream unchained by language, a dream that flows like a river, sensory, primal, full of life. You might imagine that dreaming without words would be emptier. But what if it's fuller? What if, without the filter of vocabulary, experience flows in more richly? Like water over skin, like music without lyrics. Even humans, when very young or very old or deep in sleep, may dream like this, without narration, without self, just color and feeling. So what does this say about the dreaming mind? That it is not bound by the tools of speech, that it remembers in ways more ancient, that a dream doesn't have to say anything to mean everything. Somewhere in a cave, a bat hangs upside down, twitching in its sleep, not imagining, not reciting, just drifting in the pure experience of night, of echo, of darkness that pulses with meaning. And it's beautiful, isn't it? To think that thought can exist without voice, that a dream can rise like a wave of feeling and pass like one, two, leaving behind no sentence, no scene, just a trace of something known, but not named, a shared palette of sleep. So now step back, gently, see the whole picture, all around the world, under bark and roof, behind leaves and doors, across nests, caves, blankets and branches. Creatures are sleeping, some curled, some stretched, some breathing in rhythms so slow they almost disappear. And in that sleep, across feathers and fur, skin and scale, dreams stir. Maybe a dog dreams of its favorite walk, but with skies colored like laughter. Maybe a dolphin dreams in bursts of light and sound, dreaming a coral reef that glows in ultramarine. Maybe a horse dreams of running again, its hooves striking a field lit not by sun but by memory. The colors may differ, the senses may shift, but the essence, the drifting, the remembering, the pulsing rhythm of rest, that is shared. Sleep binds us, dreams link us, not just as humans but as beings who feel, who see, who know the world through more than fact, who carry emotion in their bones. Perhaps color in dreams is not a gift reserved for language or logic. Perhaps it is a current, flowing through all things that breathe, a gentle code of emotion, red for longing, blue for peace, yellow for joy, even if no one ever names it aloud. And maybe that is the great secret of the dreaming world, that beneath all difference of species, of form, of thought, we are all painting while we sleep. Each dream a canvas, each breath a brushstroke, each sleeping creature dipped in the soft light of memory, instinct, and the unknowable. So when you close your eyes tonight and feel yourself drifting, think of the bird, the cat, the bat, the whale. Think of a world that sleeps together, that dreams together, that glows silently with color. And ask yourself, not with words, but with wonder, if a dream is painted in silence, does the whole world shimmer when we sleep? Chapter 14. Color in nightmares. There are nights when color doesn't soothe. It sears. When it does not float like a memory or shimmer like a thought, but blazes, flashes, pierces the dream like sirens pierce the dark. You know the color even before your eyes adjust to the scene. It is red, loud, urgent, impossible to ignore. Red in dreams is not a gentle thing. It's not the red of cherries or soft fabric. It's not the red of sunset or roses in bloom. This red is sharp. The red of alarms. The red of something broken. The red that rushes in behind fear like a wave behind wind. You may find yourself running in a dream, no direction, just escape. You turn a corner and everything is red. The sky, the floor, even the air feels hot, vibrating with some silent scream. Your heart races not just in your chest, but through the dream itself. Scientists studying nightmares often find that when fear enters the dream, color sharpens. Emotions and visuals are painted with urgency, and red, being the color of blood, of fire, of warning, rises first. It is the body's alarm bell. It is the brain's shout in the language of color. But there is something deeply human in that. We have always known red to mean attention. It tells us to stop, to run, to feel. In nightmares, this red is not evil. It's a signal, a flare. It marks the place where the mind is trying to speak, where something inside is asking to be seen. Even in dreams, the self tries to protect the self. And though the red may feel terrifying, it's still part of your own palette, your own inner painting. It doesn't come from outside. It rises from within. And in that, even the color of danger is still a piece of you. Colors that don't exist. And then, stranger still, there are dreams where color bends, where the shades you see feel real, vivid, pulsing, unforgettable, but impossible to name once you wake. It is as though your sleeping mind has invented something, a color that isn't in the world you know, a tone that isn't on the spectrum of day. You remember it not with your eyes, but with your spine. In the heart of a nightmare, these colors feel wrong. Too deep, too loud. They are not just seen, they are felt. They hum with discomfort, with urgency, with a sense of something gone crooked. Perhaps you're walking through a hallway. The stretch is on too long. The walls are green, but not green. The air is blue, but with an edge you can't quite hold. You're surrounded by a color your body doesn't trust. This is not a mistake. The dreaming brain, especially in the grip of fear, twists perception. It exaggerates. It distorts. It builds worlds not just to reflect emotion, but to amplify it. And fear is a powerful artist. It doesn't follow the rules of light, paints in extremes. It mixes memory with guesswork, instinct with shadow. Sometimes the worst dreams don't show monsters or danger. They show nothing, in a color that makes you ache. They leave behind a feeling like metal on teeth, a taste without taste, a color without color. And yet, somewhere in this strangeness, the mind is exploring. It's trying to understand something too tangled for daylight. So it creates its own hues, its own language of discomfort. Even these invented colors, these nightmares made from unfamiliar pigments, are part of your inner nightscape. They're not wrong, they're raw. And maybe, just maybe, they serve their own quiet purpose, to show you the places that still need light. Gray fog and chase. But sometimes fear doesn't burn red. Sometimes it doesn't shout. It sighs. It sinks. It blankets the dream in fog. You know this dream. We all do. You're running. You don't know from what. The ground feels soft but wrong. The air is thick. You try to call out, but your voice doesn't carry. Everything is gray. Not a soft, cozy gray, but a lifeless one. Flat. Empty. Like the world has lost its shape. This is the color of confusion, of helplessness, a gray that washes over the dream like ash over snow. It dulls everything. It slows your steps, clouds your thinking. These dreams aren't made of fire. They're made of mist. They are not sharp, but they are heavy. They do not chase you, they trap you. And again, the brain is doing something profound. It's building a landscape to match the emotion. And when the emotion is fear wrapped in uncertainty, not knowing what's wrong, just that something is, it paints the dream in fog. Gray is the color of the unknown. It's the hallway that never ends, the door that won't open, the sky that never clears. When you're inside this kind of dream, color feels far away, like it's on the other side of glass. And that distance is what frightens you most. You reach, you run, but the color doesn't come back. Not yet. And still, these dreams pass. The fog, no matter how thick, cannot stay forever. The soft exit. Even the darkest dreams begin to fade. Slowly, gently, like breath leaving a window pane. They don't end with a bang, but with a hush, a dimming, a return. You might not remember the moment you wake. The red has cooled. The strange color has dulled. The gray has lifted. Now you lie in your bed, safe though your body still remembers. Maybe your chest is tight. Maybe your arms are wrapped around you. Maybe you've woken to the echo of a feeling that doesn't have a name. But still, it's over. The dream has passed. The colors have faded. And now the brain, wise and wordless, begins to soothe itself. A memory of morning light, the familiar shape of your room, the softness of your pillow. Color returns, this time not in alarm, but in kindness. Warmth in the blankets, a shadow on the wall, the first hints of blue in the window. You are here. You are whole. The dream, however dark, did not break you, because the mind knows how to paint peace too. It knows how to guide you back to center, to rinse the night in soft pastels, to say, without words, "You're safe now." So even nightmares, in all their sharpness and shadow, are followed by this quiet miracle recovery. The return of color, the return of calm, and perhaps that's the most powerful part of all, that after even the fiercest storms of the dreaming mind, you always awaken, not as the same self, but as one who has seen the dark, and still found the light again. And now, as sleep draws near once more, may you rest in this knowing, that even when color in dreams turns strange or heavy, it always, eventually, softens. It always makes way for morning. Chapter 15, The Mirror of the Mind. Close your eyes now, not to shut out the world, but to open another. One that lives not in light, but in the spaces behind your eyes. In that quiet dark, something stirs. A world begins to breathe, to shimmer, to move. No stars above you, no sounds around you. And yet, you feel it. The soft glow of something unfolding within, as if your very thoughts have found a stage and decided to dance. This is the mind's galaxy. Just like the universe, your mind is filled with constellations. Each memory, a flickering star. Each hope, a nebula still forming. And your dreams, they are not distant lights, but bursts of color traveling faster than time itself. Even in total darkness, your brain knows how to shine. The waking world may bring its sunrises and seasons, but the dreaming mind, it brings its own sky, and it does not ask for permission to create. It needs no canvas, no paint, no audience, only sleep, only silence. And suddenly you're there, walking through cities that never existed, flying over oceans without names, crying over people you've never met, but love somehow, as if you've known them forever. This is not imagination. It is more intimate than that. This is the inner cosmos, the galaxy of the self. A place where your past and your future touch fingertips. A world where your emotions have gravity, and your memories orbit like moons around truths you can't quite say out loud. And in this quiet universe of the mind, one thing is always there: color. Colors you've never invented but somehow remember. Hues that don't exist in waking life, but feel more honest than anything you've ever seen with open eyes. The purples of loss, the golds of longing, the blues of peace that feel like forgiveness. Why do we dream in color? Perhaps because in sleep we no longer look outward. We look inward, and the soul, whatever it may be, does not speak in words. It speaks in images, in scenes, in feelings that shimmer like light across water. Your brain does not wait for life to give you meaning. It builds its own cathedral of significance every night, painting the walls with every moment you've ever tried to understand. And it lights a candle in the center, the soft glow of a question only your dreams know how to whisper. The painter who is you. Here's the strange, sacred truth. The one who dreams is the same as the one who watches. You are both the artist and the witness, both the hand that moves the brush, and the eyes that weep at what has been made. No one else enters your dreams. Not really. They may borrow familiar faces, a friend's smile, a mother's perfume, a lover's voice calling from the edge of a forest, but none of them are real in the way the waking world defines it. And yet they feel more alive than most daylight conversations, more urgent, more meaningful, because they come from you, from the deep chambers of the mind where language has never walked, from the part of you that still remembers being a child, looking at the sky and believing the clouds could hear your thoughts. Every night, your brain becomes the great painter, and the canvas, time itself, with strokes of memory and brushfuls of longing, it brings to life colors soaked in emotion, colors that don't simply appear, but bloom. A red is never just red in a dream. It may be the heat of a heartbreak, the flash of shame, or the echo of courage. Blue becomes more than a sky. It is the weightlessness of forgiveness, or the sadness of a goodbye that was never said. Yellow may shimmer like sunlight, but it also holds the glow of a childhood afternoon you never want to lose. And here's what's even more mysterious. Your brain shows you things you did not know you knew. A house you've never seen but recognize instantly. A color you can't name but understand deeply. A sequence of events so bizarre, so impossible. And yet, while dreaming, it makes perfect sense. There is no director here, no logic, no structure. And yet the story unfolds like a masterpiece. Because the storyteller is you, not the thinking you, not the worrying you, but the quiet, hidden self. The one that rarely speaks, but always listens. The part of you that paints the world not as it is, but as it feels. Dreams as reflections. So what if dreams are not fantasies at all? Not escape routes, but reflections. Not fiction, but metaphors. A mirror never shows you what you expect. It doesn't tell you who you think you are. It shows you who you are right now in the moment. And dreams, in their quiet, strange way, do the same. They don't lie. They don't flatter. They reveal. You might find yourself standing on a mountain of feathers, chasing someone who was already you, or talking to the moon like it's your mother, or hearing a language you somehow understand but have never spoken. These are not nonsense. They are symbols, reflections, pieces of you rearranged into shapes soft enough to feel, strange enough to stir wonder. Perhaps your mind cannot say, "I'm overwhelmed," so instead, it gives you a house with endless stairs, and you're always climbing but never arriving. Perhaps your heart can't scream, "I miss you," so it gives you a train station where someone's always just out of reach. Maybe your spirit aches for peace, and so it offers a beach where time runs backwards, and the waves carry your name. Every image has meaning, not the kind you can look up in a book, but the kind you feel in your chest, in your breathing, in the way you wake up with tears on your cheeks, or laughter still echoing in your throat. Dreams don't show you what is happening outside. They show you what is happening within. They turn your fears into forests, your hopes into light, your guilt into doors that won't open, your love into colors you can never name. And still they speak gently. They do not demand understanding. They ask only to be felt, to be witnessed, to be remembered not with the mind, but with the heart. Why the mirror glows. So why do we dream in color? Maybe it's because we are still alive, not just breathing, but feeling, still curious, still reaching, still asking the universe to show us something beautiful, even if it must come from within. Color in dreams is not decoration. It's declaration. It is your mind telling you, "I'm still here. I still remember what joy looks like. I still long for things I cannot name. I still believe in mystery, in wonder, in the sacred absurdity of being human." The mirror of the mind does not reflect skin or smiles or sunlight. It reflects meaning, emotion. It reflects the parts of you that never made it into language, but are no less real. And in color, it gives them shape. Perhaps that's why, even in our darkest nights, the dreams still glow, still shimmer, still hum with quiet power. Because inside us, even when all the lights are out, there is still a lantern burning. You are still a painter, still a poet, still a seeker, and your dreams, wild, irrational, beautiful, are proof. So tonight, when your eyes begin to close, don't fight the darkness. Don't fear the silence. Let your mind drift into its inner skies. Let it draw stars from memory, paint shadows with warmth, and write stories across the ceiling of sleep. You will go places you've never been, feel things you forgot you carried, and when the morning comes, even if you forget the plot, you'll wake with the knowing that somewhere in the night, a part of you was held, lit, loved, and it glowed in color. Chapter 16. When cultures dream in different colors. Close your eyes gently. Imagine a color, not on a canvas or a curtain or a flag, but in your breath. Imagine the color red as it pulses softly through a dream. Not loud, not flashing, just warm, like laughter at a family table, like the shimmer of silk at a wedding, like firelight that dances on the cheeks of children while music plays in the distance. In many places around the world, red is not the color of warning. It is the color of joy. In China, red is life. It is luck. It is the first ribbon tied around a newborn's wrist and the paper cutouts pressed to windows at New Year. In India, it's the color of a bride's sari, the color of turmeric-tinged prayers, the hue of festivals where hearts and hands are both painted with meaning. When people from these places sleep, the color red may come not as danger but as delight. A dream may fill with red lanterns, red rivers, red laughter, and it will not feel strange. It will feel like memory, like home, because dreams are not made in isolation. They are woven from the same threads as your waking life, from the smells in your kitchen, the sounds of your mother tongue, the colors you were taught to honor. Your subconscious does not forget where it was born. Even in your deepest sleep, your culture whispers. It reminds you what red is meant to feel like. In some, it is the color of awakening. In others, the color of power. But in these places, in the soft folds of tradition, it is celebration. Red becomes the heartbeat of the dream, carrying you toward a joy so old, it feels like your grandmother's song. And so, as the dream flows on, red does not shout. It sings. White isn't always pure. Now imagine white, not as snow or clouds or lace, but as something quieter, as stillness, as absence, as the space left behind after something ends. In many Western stories, white means peace. Angels wear it. Doves carry it. Brides walk toward the future in flowing white gowns. But in other parts of the world, white holds a very different meaning. In much of East Asia, white is worn at funerals. It is the cloth of mourning, the hush of loss, the breath after the last goodbye. And in dreams shaped by these traditions, white may not appear as innocence. It may appear as a memory of someone gone, of something unfinished, of silence that stretches far beyond the dream itself. Imagine a dream where everything is white, the walls, the river, the sky, and it is not comforting. It is not light. It is heavy, not frightening, but reverent, like standing in a room where someone once stood, and now only their scent remains. In Japan, the color white folds into origami cranes for the dead. In Korea, it clings to the garments of mourning families. In these places, when white visits your dreams, it brings with it the soft footprints of grief, not to frighten but to honor, because even loss is allowed to dream. The mind does not forget its rituals. It carries them like lanterns through sleep, and even in the most private moments of dreaming, it remembers how your people say goodbye. White may come, not as a bright blankness, but as a veil, as a gesture, as a soft goodbye that needs no words. And just like that, the color becomes more than color. It becomes language, the symbolic rainbow. Now drift deeper. Think of all the colors you've ever seen, not with your eyes, but with your stories. The green of life, the black of protection, the blue of sacred sky. In Aboriginal Australian traditions, the rainbow serpent is both creator and destroyer, an ancient being who slithers across the sky and earth, painting rivers and hills in its path. In African folktales, colors are alive. Red beads carry power, yellow cloth brings favor, and every hue holds a tale passed from ancestor to child. In Native American cultures, colors are not only visual but spiritual. The Lakota speak of the four directions, each marked by a color: black, white, red, and yellow, each carrying its own wisdom and path. Dreams, then, become journeys along those colors. Not just images, but ceremonies. What you dream in color is shaped by what you've heard, sung, and seen since before you could name them. The stories told at your bedside, the murals painted in your town square, the flags waved at your festivals, the myths whispered in the wind through your childhood window. The color blue, for one person, may be water and coolness and peace. For another, it may be protection, divinity, or a door to the spirit realm. Yellow may be sunlight and warmth, or warning and caution, depending on the stories you've been told. Even black, so often feared, is sacred in many cultures. It is the soil that nourishes, the night that heals, the unknown that gives space to dream. And so, in dreams, a rainbow does not just brighten. It speaks, not in words, but in memory. A green jungle from a childhood journey, a gold bracelet from a grandmother's wrist, a red kite soaring over a rooftop in summer. These are not props. They are symbols, threads of meaning carried by color. And when your mind dreams, it uses them to build scenes that feel real. Not because they happened, but because they've always mattered. The symbolic rainbow is not drawn with science. It is drawn with feeling, with culture, with time, the color we inherit. And now, let us float a little higher, above color, above language, into something more ancient than memory. The truth is this: you do not dream alone. Not really. Every dream you have is touched by others, by your ancestors, by your community, by the rituals and meanings passed through your family like heirlooms made of thought. Dreams are not just imagination. They are inheritance. They carry the rhythm of your language, the tempo of your prayers, the hue of your homeland's soil. Even if you've never seen the village where your grandmother was born, your dreams might carry its shadows, its textures, its palette. A person raised in the Arctic may dream in silvers and whites, shaped by light that lasts too long or not long enough. A child growing up near the equator might dream in bright bursts, orange fruit, turquoise rivers, the violet of rain-heavy skies. Even the words we use for color shift from place to place. Some languages have only a few color terms, others dozens. Some cultures divide the blues and greens differently. Some see the world in warmth, in brightness, in the shimmer of meaning instead of wavelength. And all of it shapes what your dreams look like. When you dream in color, you are dreaming in translation. Your mind is using the materials it has been given, the colors your parents described to you, the images you were praised for painting, the pigments of your poems and lullabies. You do not see red, or green, or blue in your dreams because they are real. You see them because they mean something to you, or to your people. The brain may be the artist, but the culture is the palette. And your soul chooses which colors to remember. So tonight, when you drift into sleep, and your dreams begin to color themselves softly, think of all the lives that have shaped your inner world, not just your own. Every color is a story, and every dream is a page turned slowly in the book of the human spirit. Whether your dreams glow red with celebration, white with reverence, or swirl in 1,000 hues your waking tongue cannot name, know this: they are not random. They are reflections of where you come from, of what you carry, of who you are becoming. So let the color in. Let the dreaming begin. And know you are never alone in what you see. Chapter 17, Dreams That Change Color. Close your eyes now. Let the colors begin as whispers, soft and slow, like breath brushing silk. Pale lavender floats in the corners of your vision. Rose-pink clouds drift without urgency. A gentle sea, painted in the lightest blue, waits patiently beneath your feet. This is how many dreams begin, with gentleness, with pastels that do not shout, but hum. But as the dream moves forward, something shifts. Maybe the sea grows darker. Maybe the sky thickens. The once golden warmth begins to fade into cooler shades. A quiet storm beginning to form. You are still in the same dream, but the world has changed its tone. This is the silent drama of color. The way a dream can begin like a lullaby and then, mid-melody, lean into thunder. It's not the story that changes first. It's the shade of it. Something you feel before you understand. Why does this happen? Perhaps your heart remembers something your mind forgot. Perhaps the comfort of the beginning stirs an old ache buried deep within. The colors respond before the plot does. A soft meadow becomes a night forest. A glowing lantern flickers out, replaced by the cold gleam of silver moonlight. A hand you were holding becomes a shadow you are chasing. Yet it's not always fear. Sometimes the shift is awe. From soft to vivid, from gentle cream to blazing orange. A dream may start as stillness, and then, like a match lit in the dark, burst into light. The transition is not random. It is emotional. The sleeping mind moves not by rules, but by rhythms. Like the tide, it rises and falls without permission, pulling your colors along for the ride. You may not notice the exact moment the pastel fades, but you'll feel it. The softness tightening, the warmth becoming sharp, the quiet morphing into question. Dreams change color because you change, even in sleep. And the colors tell the story your words don't know how to say. Waking mid-color. Now imagine this, you are dreaming in gold. Everything glows. The sky, the faces, even the air around you feels touched by sunlight. You feel joy or relief or something close to flying. And then you wake up. Not gently, not slowly, but suddenly like a breath caught in the throat. And for a moment, the world you've returned to feels pale, lacking, because part of you is still back there, where everything was warm and shining. Have you ever opened your eyes and still seen the color of your dream? Felt it lingering in your chest, like a song you almost remember? This is the quiet heartbreak of waking mid-color. Not because the dream is lost, but because you didn't get to see how it ended. You were still inside the golden hour when the curtain closed. There's a strange beauty in that, in leaving a dream before it's done, as if the mind chose to hold something back, as if the color was too bright to carry into morning. Sometimes these dreams follow you, not in images but in feeling. You spend the day trying to recall the light, the shade, the soft blur of someone's face bathed in violet dusk. But it doesn't come. Only the feeling remains. And maybe that's the point. Not all dreams are meant to be remembered in full. Some are meant to awaken something, not finish something. A spark, a hue, a hint of something that changes how you see the rest of your day. To wake in the middle of color is to wake in the middle of yourself, while your soul is still painting, still building, still dreaming. You may open your eyes, but the dream hasn't quite let go of you yet. Fading from fire to mist, not all dreams end with a jolt. Some slip away like tidewater, gently and without resistance. One moment you are standing in a city of lights, and the next it's fog, silence, a gentle fade from fire to mist. These are the dreams that drift, that begin with strength and color and shape, but end in softness, as if the mind is slowly exhaling, letting go of the story thread by thread until it disappears entirely. Maybe you were running, maybe you were dancing, maybe the sky above you was full of stars, or the earth beneath you was pulsing with light. And then, almost unnoticeably, the color begins to desaturate. The reds turn to gray, the blues become fog, the edges blur. You are no longer part of the dream, you are watching it from far away. You feel your body again, the blanket, the room, but still part of you hovers in the mist. This is not a loss. This is a soft goodbye. When dreams fade gently, they leave you calmer, not confused, not startled, just peaceful, as if the mind is saying, "It's time," and instead of cutting the story short, it lowers the light. The fire becomes embers, the embers become smoke, the smoke becomes sky, and though you may not remember the dream in full, the feeling of it lingers. There's a tenderness in these endings, as if your own mind knew how to cradle you out of sleep, not with noise, but with the whisper of mist. When color is the message, sometimes a dream doesn't need words. It doesn't need plot. It doesn't need sense. Sometimes all it needs is color. You've had those dreams. The ones that don't tell a story but leave a mood. A feeling that clings like dew on skin. You don't remember what happened, just that it was all green. Or blue. Or orange like a fire you didn't want to leave. In these moments, color is the message. A dream may not say, "You are healing," but it will show you forests, green and endless. It may not say, "You are searching," but it will fill your sky with deep purples and moving clouds. It won't tell you, "You miss someone," but it will glow in soft golds that wrap around your heart like memory. Color becomes a language older than language. One that doesn't ask to be translated. It only asks to be felt. You wake, and for a few moments the color is still with you. Not just in your mind, but in your breath. In the way you pour your coffee. In the way you look at the world outside your window. The dream might not have said anything out loud, but it spoke. Through blue, through flame, through shadow, through morning light. And maybe that's what color is really for. Not just to decorate the world, but to give shape to things that can't be said. Dreams change color because you are still learning how to feel, still reaching for something true, still translating the language of your soul into something your body can carry. And when you can't say it aloud, color steps in. Color becomes the echo, the answer, the breath. So tonight, when your dreams begin to bloom again, notice the color. Notice when it shifts. Notice what it tells you, even when nothing is said. Because somewhere deep inside you, the part of you that dreams is always speaking, always painting, always searching for the most honest hue. And maybe, just maybe, that's what dreaming is. The soul telling its story in color. Chapter 18, so maybe it's okay to rest. Not just the dreamer, but the dream, the color, the light, the one watching and creating. Close your eyes and notice how the dark isn't empty. It's full not of noise, not of thought, but of something softer. A canvas, perhaps. A field at night just before the stars appear. You've walked this field before, though maybe not with your feet. Maybe you wandered here in memory, or in feeling, or in something deeper that has no name. And as you drift in this space between breath and sleep, you begin to realize something. Something so simple, so quiet, it doesn't need to be said, only remembered. You are not just dreaming. You are the dream. The sky you imagine is not above you. It is within. The color isn't splashed from outside. It is poured from your very center. When you see a blue that reminds you of water, or a gold like the sun through glass, it is not your mind copying nature. It is nature copying you. You are not only the painter, you are the paint, the image, the breath that moves the brush. In every dream, you do not just see, you create. And not by force, but by surrender. You let go. You sleep. You trust. And in that trust, your mind becomes a garden of color. Blooming without weather, wilting without harm, glowing with impossible light. Maybe that's what dreaming really is. Not a puzzle to solve, but a gift to receive. A place where the self becomes art, and the night becomes gentle. A place where you, without even trying, become everything that makes the world beautiful. You are not watching the dream. You are the watching, the soft gaze, the one who listens to the silence and finds meaning in its hush. The mind that can take pain and turn it into color. The heart that glows, even with eyes closed. You are the dream, and the dream is you, the sleep that sees. Even in silence, your mind is seeing, feeling, painting. You are never truly in the dark. There is a kind of seeing that doesn't need light, that doesn't rely on eyes or sight or the rules of reflection. It is a kind of seeing that happens with the soul, the kind that only comes when the world grows still enough to feel. In the quiet of sleep, your mind does not go dark. It glows differently, like embers in the ashes, like moonlight on skin, like the last light before dawn. Soft, steady, invisible to others, but deeply known by you. Even when the room is dark, your mind is painting. Scenes that never happened, faces you've never touched, places stitched together from memory and magic. How strange and how wondrous, that without even trying, your brain becomes an artist each night, layering soundless color onto the silence of your skull. Maybe the dreams don't need logic. Maybe they aren't there to teach or warn or explain. Maybe they are simply your way of remembering how to feel. Your body rests, but your spirit explores. Your eyes close, but your mind opens, not just to memory, but to something richer, to the vast ocean beneath the thinking. Sometimes you don't remember the dream, but the dream remembers you. It wraps itself around your cells, leaves whispers in your breath, stirs something in your chest when you wake, like a scent you can't name or a feeling without a story. Even in deep sleep, you are never truly gone. Part of you watches, part of you wanders, part of you waits. This is the sleep that sees, the sleep that feels the brushstrokes of your own inner cosmos, the sleep that reminds you, you are still here, still dreaming, still whole, the color of being alive. A poetic reminder that to dream in color is to be human, emotional, fragile, and beautifully alive. Why do we dream in color? Maybe because life in its deepest form is not black and white. It is textured, felt, messy, glorious. A single color in a dream can hold more emotion than 1,000 words. A deep red can feel like love and fear at once. A soft green can carry you into the arms of safety. Gold might feel like hope, and blue, oh blue might be the shape of longing. To dream in color is to remember that feeling doesn't need to be spoken, that beauty doesn't need permission, that your inner world is just as vivid, just as real, as anything you touch with your hands. Some people dream of people they've lost. Others dream of places they've never seen. Some dream of flying. Some dream of falling. But all of them, all of us, are touched by something deeper, color, as if color itself is the language of being. When we're awake, we often rush past it. We call it decoration or preference or style. But in dreams, we know better. We feel color. It sinks into us, becomes part of us, speaks in the tone of the heart instead of the tongue. Maybe to dream in color is to be soft enough to feel, fragile enough to need beauty, alive enough to let go. And isn't that what it means to be human? To carry feelings too big for logic, too rich for numbers. To carry love that aches, and sadness that heals. To carry color not as pigment, but as pulse. You don't need to understand the science tonight. You don't need to question the why or how. Just rest in the knowing. The colors are real. They are yours, and they are part of what makes you alive. Close your eyes again. An invitation to let go once more, to fall asleep knowing that somewhere inside, the colors are waiting. So now, slowly, gently close your eyes again. Not because you must, but because it feels right, like exhaling, like returning to the place you never truly left. Let the world soften. Let the colors come without chasing them. Let your breath deepen, as if the earth is rocking you gently back into the dream. Tonight, you don't have to try. You don't have to solve or fix or plan. You only need to drift, to float into that quiet space behind your eyes, where everything is made of light and memory. The sky in your mind is already glowing. The stars there don't burn. They shimmer like thoughts not yet spoken. The rivers there don't flow. They hum with songs only your heart remembers. Maybe, just maybe, the dreams are already waiting. Maybe the colors are curled around your chest, ready to bloom the moment you surrender. So let them bloom. Let the blues and golds and greens rise like mist in your imagination. Let the purples carry you gently. Let the warmth of red wrap you. Let the silver silence fill you. And if you find yourself smiling as you fall, even just a little, know that the smile belongs to the dream, too. To the part of you that still believes in beauty, in softness, in wonder. You've done enough today. You've seen enough, felt enough. You've remembered what it means to be the dream, not just the dreamer. So now rest, not because it's the end, but because it's a beginning, a doorway, a hush, and somewhere inside you the colors are waiting, waiting to dance, waiting to hold you, waiting to remind you. So maybe it's okay to rest.